Hey Thrivers, Jess here. If you are here watching the replay, welcome. I hope you enjoy it. As I said, there is a little special at the end. I'm coming up to my 10-year anniversary or bizaversary as of next month, the 9th of October, I believe it is. The 9th of October marks the day that I opened my Etsy shop, my very first shop. And that was 10 years ago, this October 9th, which is kind of surreal for me to think about. Oh my goodness, I've had my handmade business for 10 whole years, a whole decade. I've certainly never done anything in my life longer than I've done that, except maybe school. So I wanted to celebrate that, and I've got a whole bunch of things planned. I've got some special jewelry planned that's going to be happening. Hi, Rebecca. If you're here, say hello in the comments so I can see who you are. I've got some special jewelry planned to celebrate via Ethereal, but I also have some stuff planned via Create and Thrive because I'm so excited. I just want to kind of celebrate in as many ways as possible. So I'm going to have specials and all sorts of things happening starting now and also through October as well, especially if you're in the Thriver Circle, you guys are going to get some stuff. So yes, that is what that's all about. But today, obviously, I'm here to talk about this topic. Hello, Leanne. Hello, Karen. And this topic is what I think is a huge reason, one of the number one, possibly the number one reason really that so many handmade businesses fail or don't take off or don't get where people want them to be. Now, there are obviously a lot of elements that go into this, a lot of reasons why people's businesses don't get to where they want them to be, time, in some cases product, but most cases not. So I wanted to talk about that today, and I want to give you four. I was thinking more about it on my walk this morning. I'm like, no, there's actually something else that's important as well that I hadn't mentioned. So we're going to talk about that in this training today. And hello, lovely people. Thank you for all the congratulations. I'm going to put my glasses on because I have my whole list of stuff here, and you don't want me doing this the whole time, right? Okay, now I can see. All right, so what is this reason? What is the thing that gets in the way of people actually succeeding? And it's something I like to call the what, why, how. It's the what, why, and how. That is what it is. So in other words, people don't know what to do, when to do it, or how to do it. So that is the reason that I believe from, working with people in the Thriver Circle elsewhere for years and years, that really stops people making progress. And why is this? Okay, so let me take you on a journey. When I started Ethereal 10 years ago, I had eensy-weensy amounts of business know-how. I had more know-how about the internet because I'd been playing around with building websites and doing things on the internet for a decade by that stage. So I was kind of comfortable with that. And I'd always had this dream sort of way back in the back of my mind that one day maybe I could figure out a way to make a living on the internet or from the internet, via the internet, whatever you want to call it. But I never quite cracked it. Like back then, the blogging was really huge, and that's something I did, and that was really successful for me. But there was, most of the sort of people who made money from the internet had big businesses, right? They had like the big .com, and I know the bust happened before that. But there was slowly there was this thing coming through where ordinary people, you and me, who don't have, experience or degrees in software development, I'm not ever going to make the next Google because I have no idea about all of that stuff. But I do know some things, and you know some things as well. But most of us who are in this space, in this handmade space, don't have a business background, and we may or may not, and a lot of us don't have really a grounding in the internet and internet marketing worlds as well. And look, I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of stuff in the internet marketing world that it's kind of icky, right? Like it turns you off. It makes you kind of lean away rather than lean in. And there was a lot of that happening back then. There was kind of a whole bunch of these things coming through, and I was like, I don't know, that doesn't feel authentic. It feels a bit to me. And so I didn't really ever dive into that stuff. I kind of skirted around the outside and tried to figure stuff out for myself. And someone is getting happy. Thank you. All the thingies. So I had to learn all this stuff by myself. How did I do it? Okay, so strategy number one, and my bonus strategy, is how I did it basically. And I'm going to talk about that. So strategy number one, there's 3 ways to overcome this lack of, the what, why, how knowledge. Number one is Google, YouTube, and Pinterest. In other words, DIY searching for the right information. I like to call it the Google lottery. We've all done it. We know how hard it can be to find the exact information we're actually looking for. But even more importantly, right, you don't know what you don't know. If you don't know something, you don't know that you need to know something. How are you going to search for it, right? So you're kind of stuck in this horrible space where you're getting inklings of little things, or you're trying to problem solve. And usually that's what it comes down to, right? We are doing something, how do I edit a photo? Then I Google it, or, I look on YouTube videos, same sort of thing. I mean, Google and YouTube, kind of synonymous really these days, aren't they? Or I look on Pinterest and I save, things about how to do photos, how to edit a photo. And one person will say, do it this way, use Photoshop. Well, I can't afford Photoshop. I'm, bootstrapping. Someone else will say, use this PicMonkey or whatever it is. But you might not know that there's a free program, an open source program out there that you can use that's exactly not exactly, but very close to Photoshop, that you can download. And not somebody tells you, how are you going to know that's out there? So Leanne's like, I have a master's in YouTube search and watch. I love it. Yeah, so how are you going to know that unless you stumble upon it, right? The one I'm talking about, by the way, is GIMP, G-I-M-P, funny name, good program. And I sort of stumbled across that in my early days as well, because I found a YouTube video that referenced it. I'm like, oh, what is this thing? So it's kind of like you've got a blindfold on in the dark and you're just stumbling around and finding things, and then you kind of pick the blindfold up and go, oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll work out how to use that. And then you put it back down again and you keep stumbling along, right? Because you don't really know where you're going or how to get to where you're going. It's quite difficult. But, this is what I did, right? And it took me years. I'm not exaggerating. It took me years to figure out all of the stuff I needed to know to get my handmade business somewhat successful. I mean, I was doing it as a part-time hobby for about 1.5 years, went full-time, and in that, I was literally spending 16-hour days pretty much every day of the week figuring this stuff out. It was crazy. I was investing so much time, and I had the time, I had the luxury of that amount of time, but most people don't, right? You've got jobs and kids and things that are stopping you from being able to spend that much time. And so in the little bits of time you do have, you're just trying to problem solve. You're just what's the next problem I can solve? What's the next thing I can figure out? And working in these little piecemeal fashions. So this strategy, number one, it's great for problem solving. It's great for solving one focused problem. It is not great for strategy, right? It is not great for strategies, systems, or the big picture, because you're just lurching from one problem to the other and constantly in that state, right? I do share it. Thank you, Leanne. Hello, Akimi. I'm loving to see all you people here. It's brilliant. All my favorite people, just quietly. So that is a problem, right? Because then all you're doing every single day is lurching from problem to problem, and you never stop and actually do any big picture stuff like long-term vision, long-term goals. What are the good strategies for this? What are the good systems for this, right? And so that over time, becomes really problematic. It's because you're not moving forward, you're just kind of stumbling along, right? Another problem is that you have zero accountability. Well, that's a lie. You have accountability to yourself, which is really the most important accountability there is, right? I think so. I also happen to be a very self-motivated person. Not everybody is. Some people need external motivation. In other words, they work better when someone else is going, hey, you need to do this, or is keeping them honest, right? Whereas Gretchen Rubin talks about this. If you haven't heard about her 4 tendencies, what are they? There's an obliger, a rebel. What are the other 2? Obliger, rebel, upholder, and something else. So I'm basically an upholder. Like if I decide, now this is a difference. Sometimes I kind of decide I want to do something and I don't do it because I haven't actually really made the decision. But when I decide that I want to make something happen, I make it happen, and I don't need someone else kind of keeping me accountable. But a lot of people do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way you are. So this method, you don't have any external accountability. You don't have anyone cheering you on. You don't have anybody giving you guidance, and that can be really difficult for a lot of people, because then they never move forward and they just give up, right? Because it's like, well, it's too hard, or it's too complicated, or I'm not making progress. I'm not getting anywhere, and I can't figure out why I'm not getting anywhere. And so they give up. So this happens a lot. And I really wish, it's why I do what I do, obviously, is to help people get past this. So another problem with this, it's not the most efficient way to learn, obviously. Why? Because it costs you so much time, like so much time doing this. You have to figure out what you need to figure out. Then you need to find resources. Then you need to evaluate the resources. Is this person telling me the truth? Have they solved the actual problem I want to solve? Do they actually know what they're talking about? Like, have they actually done this thing that they're telling me how to do? So all of those things, you have to spend time evaluating the source of your information. As someone who has spent a lot of time in university, I know the importance of, validating a source. So that is that issue. So that's strategy number 1. It's not like none of these strategies, I hesitate to say they're not better than the other, because I think some of them actually are better than the other, but it's a valid strategy. Okay, if you have no money and you have a lot of time, this is a valid strategy, but it will cost you a lot of time, because you make a lot of mistakes, lots of mistakes. Oh my goodness, I don't even know how many mistakes. I mean, I still make mistakes, let's be honest. We all do. It's just it's a learning process. It's a learning journey. If you're not making mistakes, you're not actually trying. Okay. So it is, oh, thank you, Jenny. That's very sweet. So yeah, but you make less using these other strategies. So the bonus tip on this one, the bonus tip on the DIY way of doing things, is to use community. So free community. So Facebook groups, forums, like the Etsy forums or teams, actually in person, where you might be part of a guild or something. That probably costs you money, but going to a meetup or something, all of those are also awesome strategies, because you're drawing upon the collective wisdom of basically your colleagues, of the larger community. So these 2 things kind of can go together. You've got the number 1, so the DIY strategy with community is kind of how I did it. Like, I was part of an amazing Etsy team, the Dust team. And honestly, without those women, I wouldn't be anywhere near where I am today. Like, they taught me so much, like bouncing off them. We used to have like a chat in the Etsy, not in the forum. It was like in the forums, but you like have a separate section. Like, it was so long ago, but I was in there like almost every day, asking questions and talking with them. And that made such a huge difference, because you got the support and also the guidance of people who were doing it before you. And I mean, that's where the idea for the Thriver Circle came from originally, because that sort of died off. And I really missed it. And I realized how important it was for me, for my development. And I wanted to create a space like that. So that's where the Thriver Circle really came from. So it's a great way to draw on the experiences of others. There's a lot of stuff there. Now, there are some cons or caveats to this, because it's general. I'm talking here about a public forum. So it's a public setting. It's, Hannah's skiving off at work. Joining us, awesome. It's a public setting and you don't really know the people, generally speaking. Like you don't have a personal relationship with them. They're just some rando on the internet, right? So this can cause problems for a number of reasons. One, don't ever, 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 ever share private customer details on these platforms. Like I would even go as far to say, don't share issues at all when it comes to customers. Now, why am I saying that? Because whatever you put out there on the internet publicly is available forever, right? So it can come back and bite you, okay? It could come back and bite you. A potential customer could see that and go, ugh, I don't want to work with this person who goes online and like whinges publicly about their customers. Like that's not a good look, right? So don't do it on Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. That's my personal opinion. That's how I feel about the situation. Like obviously there are genuine grievances people have with customers, but I don't think a public forum is the place to share it, because you want to be that positive person. How you put yourself out there and how you treat others and how you share yourself online is how people will get to know you. And I think it's really important to be the bigger person and keep your business, keep that good feeling about your brand, right? So especially in the Etsy forums, honestly, just stay away from them. I'm not a fan of the Etsy forums. The first few years I used them, but these days when I go there, I generally find that it's just people whinging about stuff and there's a lot of negativity, and I don't want to spend my time in that space. So that's not a space I'm comfortable with. There are some great Facebook groups out there. So, look to those. Karen's just said, great tip. It's all about customer client confidentiality too. Yeah, obviously, goodness, and don't ever share names and things like that. No. But even just, I understand people, want to ask, has this happened to you? Like that's a totally normal experience. You want to say, I've had this crazy situation with my customer. What do you think? I've never had that before. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but I personally would prefer to keep that in a private setting. So either in a private, like the Thriver Circle, it's a private group, only members are in there. No one's going to take the screenshot and share it, and no random person is going to come along and see it. And it's a safe space for that sort of thing. If you have a safe space like that, a group of friends who you have coffee with, those are all good places for that. So also, obviously when people share in those groups, you don't ever take it as gospel because it's their experience. I see a lot of this is the way it is sort of talking in those sort of spaces. And I see a lot of people sharing untruths as well. Like one that drives me insane is, and I see this so often, a new Etsy seller will come along and say, I want to take a holiday, but I've heard that if you shut your shop, you lose, your rankings and you lose everything and it's a big disaster and I'll never get any sales again. I see this so often. And every time I do see it, there's so many people going, oh yeah, don't, and I just jump in and go, no, that's rubbish. Like I've been running my Etsy shop for 10 years. I've taken 3-month gaps of time off, and then I open up and my sales start coming back in again. Sure, it might, take a little bit of time to get right back up in the search, but you need holidays. You need to take a break. Like it's really important. It's really important to take a proper holiday and not have to be constantly still watching your Etsy combos and dealing with, issues. So that's something that I think is really important. Sherry, you'll be good. All right. So that's number one. Let's put that aside. If you have any questions, obviously, you all know, ask away in the comments. This is why I'm doing this live rather than just a pre-recorded video, because I want you guys to ask me any questions about this and so I can give you feedback. So please go ahead and do that. I'm just going to have a sip of my tea. Delicious. Tea of choice, vanilla rooibos. It's very delicious. This is Robin's mug. Is she on here still? Yes, Robin. I love this mug so much. I bought it from her at the Finders Keepers. It's very pretty. Should I show you? It's got like little gold accents on the clouds. So pretty. All right. Moving on. Number 2, find or hire a mentor or coach. That is strategy number 2. I'm going to be completely upfront with you. I have never done this. I have never hired a coach in my entire business career. I have had people who I would call mentors to a certain extent, but I'm generally, I'm going to be honest, I'm generally quite stubborn, and I'm also quite confident in my ability to figure stuff out. And I think it's just part of my personality that I kind of get pride from that. So it's not something I've ever done or felt a deep need to do. However, that's not to say I never will. There might be a point, and I've definitely considered it, where I've like, okay, maybe I should just work with somebody for a period of time to sort of level up, learn a few strategies, try a few things that I haven't done before, and get that sort of outside perspective. It's not something I've done yet, but let's talk about why you might want to do it and why it might be a good strategy. I'm just going to catch up on the comments. Karen's just said there's a fine line between freedom of speech and defamation. Yeah. Social media doesn't give us the right to sledge for sure. Leanne said the other big one is tracked postage. Oh yeah, you're stupid if you send all your international. Oh, is it don't? Sorry, I've got this minimized. I can't read the whole comment. Yes, the other big one, you're stupid if you don't send all your international packages with tracked shipping. We do not send our international packages with tracked shipping as standard. And we maybe lose 2 or 3 a year, and we send hundreds of them. But as far as I'm concerned, like I offer free shipping, and we can because our jewelry is light and small. And it's so worth it as far as I'm concerned, because if everybody had to pay for track shipping, it's like another $20. And I'd rather just replace 1 or 2 orders a year that go missing than make my customers pay a lot more and maybe not buy from me. So it's those business decisions you need to make. Karen, a Taurus. I don't put stock in astrology, but I am actually a Taurus. So it's quite funny. There you go. All right. So mentor or coach, let's talk about that. This is awesome if you want to develop a strategy and you need accountability, i.e. direct accountability. So if you want strategy and accountability, a coach or a mentor is a brilliant choice, because that's someone there. They're pushing you. They're directing you. Now, obviously, if they're a good coach, they shouldn't just be saying, do it this way. They should be going, okay, what do you want? Like asking you questions. A good coach or mentor asks you a lot of questions to draw out the answers from you. They don't just tell you what to do. That's what a good teacher is as well, as far as I'm concerned. Now, the thing with this, you'll probably still need to do the most of the knowledge gathering yourself, because you're not hiring them to give you all the answers. You're hiring them to help you figure out your strategy and your long-term vision, goals, whatever. You'll still have to do a lot of Google DIY, a Google foo, as we say. So, you'll have limited time with this person because, let's be frank, you're going to be paying them a lot of money, generally speaking, unless you can find a mentor who's happy to work with you for free. So this support can be incredibly helpful, obviously, especially if you're an obliger type person who really thrives with external accountability. However, you really need to make sure that you trust the person that you hire or work with. You need to know, do they teach or are they mentoring you or coaching you from a place of hard-won accountability? Do they have industry experience in your industry? Have they done what you want to do? And if not, they don't necessarily have to have done exactly what you want to do, but they really need to understand your industry. They need to understand what the ins and outs of your particular niche, like handmade selling. That is not the same as selling info products, okay? Because there are oodles, like endless amounts of coaches out there who just make money by telling other people how to make money off info products, okay? And they might not have the grounding and the background in the strategies, i.e. they haven't necessarily used them themselves. So I think it's really important to choose somebody who is authentic and knowledgeable in your area, in your niche, your industry. So one small test I like to say that you should do if you're choosing somebody, if they say that success is guaranteed, fast, and or easy, run away. Run away in the other direction, because they can't know that. They can't know that. You know, nobody can say that success is guaranteed for anybody. You can't even say it's guaranteed for yourself. So how can you tell someone else that success is 100% guaranteed if you do this thing? It's rubbish. And if I've ever said that, please tell me, because I really try to avoid saying those sort of grander statements, because I just think it's giving people false hope, and it's basically lying. And I'm not down with that. So, you know, people should say, if you follow these strategies, if you learn from me and, you know, use my guidance, chances are, and previous experience has shown me, that people do move forward and become more successful when they do this thing. But it all comes down to you at the end of the day. You are the one who has to put the work in. And if you don't put the work in, success will never be guaranteed, right? There's no easy way forward. Karen just said, yeah, I'm so over the life coach movement, and hear what you're saying. Yeah. So it's that sort of thing. And, you know, I'm in that space as well. You know, I'm here teaching you. So I'm part of that educational space, but I don't call myself a coach ever. And there's a reason for that. It's because that's not how I see myself. I see myself as a mentor and a teacher. You know, I want to be the person who, look, I'm done what you want to do. I'm still doing what you guys want to do. So I'm taking my hard-won experience and passing it on, and using my teaching. You know, I have a Bachelor of Education and experience in education, using the pedagogy, the tools, the teaching tools that I learned to pass on that knowledge. But all a teacher or a mentor can do is offer that information and offer guidance. It's up to the student to take it up. It's up to the student to do the work. So yeah, nobody can say that. And you know, people will say, oh, if you do every step of the program, then success is guaranteed. Still not the case. So success is in the application of the knowledge. So everybody's going to apply the knowledge differently. No one can give you a magic formula for success, and there are no secrets. There's just stuff you haven't come across yet, right? I hate that terminology as well. Find out the secret. No, I just haven't told you yet. It's not a secret. It's out there on the internet. If you stumbled across the right Google thing, it would tell you what this thing is. Okay, rant over. Let's move on. This is a great choice. However, it is usually extremely expensive. To hire a coach is usually really expensive. They can cost thousands of dollars a month, thousands of dollars a session. It's kind of absurd. Like, I won't name names, but I was listening to a podcaster who I do admire, but that person was saying that they, you know, got to the point where they were charging tens of thousands of dollars for like an hour of coaching. Now, obviously they're working with millionaires and stuff. So, okay, but it's crazy how much people will charge and pay for this sort of service. So my thoughts are, most of us in this industry, handmade industry, we're not millionaires, or if we are, it's not because we've sold a lot of handmade stuff. You're never going to be a millionaire selling stuff you've made yourself by hand. If that is the box limit of your business, there is an upper limit to how much you can make and how much money you can make, because you're selling products you're making with your two hands, right? So there's always going to be an upper limit. Therefore, in our industry, most people will struggle to afford a coach or a mentor in that sort of scenario. If you can, and it's something that you want to do, go for it. Do your due diligence, investigate, get to know, use all of their free stuff first. Like, if you're going to hire somebody, go and listen to their podcast, read their blog, look on their social media, see that they're a person that you resonate with, that you really, they feel good, in your gut. It feels good to listen and work with this person, and that is a good sign. That is something that you need to make sure of. All right, number 3, and this is usually kind of my favorite middle road, and that is take a course. So rather than learning from Google filling it and DIYing it, so that number 1 takes you a heck of a lot of time. Number 2, using a mentor or a coach to guide you, that costs you a heck of a lot of money. Number 3 is the middle road. So it's find somebody who's teaching a course or a workshop or a conference, something like that, where you get information packaged in a system. So you want to learn about a specific thing. You want to learn how to do a specific thing. And instead of cobbling the bits together yourself, you go and you invest a bit of money in buying a course from somebody who fulfills all of the requirements that I talked about in number 2. You trust them, they are authentic, they know what they're talking about, and they will give you the knowledge. So a good course does 2 things. It gives you strategy and systems, and it gives you the actual knowledge. So it gives you the what, and it gives you the when, and it gives you the how. So it should tell you what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how to do it. So that is what a good course will do. It'll guide you through those things. By the way, have we got any other comments or questions on number 2? I haven't seen anything pop up, but please do pop them in there for me if anything comes to mind, and I will check it. So courses, all right. So they tend to save you time, which is really valuable. And if you find a good one, they are generally a reasonable amount of money. Now, there is also a lot of people out there who are charging what I think is frankly ridiculous amounts of money for courses. It's not university. To be frank, universities are charging a ridiculous amount of money for their courses, right? So, but you don't, if you're going to university, you come out of it with a degree, some somewhat objective piece of paper that, really matters in the world. Whereas when you do a course for thousands upon thousands of dollars, you don't get any sort of outside validation or any outside benefit for that. The only benefit is what you get out of it. Now, I'm not saying that all those courses are bad. I'm just saying that there are a lot of people offering them who perhaps they're charging that much because I'm going to be honest with you. They're charging a lot of money for them because they've spent a lot of time in the infopreneur internet marketing space, where all of the people pretty much are selling information to other infopreneurs, and they can afford to charge and or pay that amount of money for these courses because they're going to recoup that money quite quickly if they do it right. For those of us in the handmade industry, it's going to take us a lot more time to recoup that money, generally speaking, and a lot more effort because we have to make the products and list the products and sell the products and go to the markets and get the wholesale. It's a lot harder for us to make that money quickly per se. So that's something to consider, and I think it's a different market. Akimi's just said, I haven't even thought about seeking a mentor, as you and the circle members are my mentors. Yes, that's what I want to hear. It means I'm doing it right, and we're doing it right. That's because we're an awesome community. And that's because of you guys. So, right. So let's go back. Just beware of those expensive courses. Are they really worth the cost? They might be. Read reviews and testimonials. Google the course. Don't just read the reviews and testimonials that the course person is giving you. Actually do a bit of research and look up, Google the course, see what other people are talking, see what they're saying about it. People might have written blog posts, they might have done YouTube reviews, they might have done reviews elsewhere, and get the real pros and cons of the course, and decide if it's going to give you the return on investment, the value that it's offering, that it's saying it's going to offer. Check the course hashtag on social media as well and see what the students are saying about it. Because generally speaking, it's probably run before, it's probably not brand new. So that aside, courses are awesome because they are solving a problem for you, but in a larger sense. So they're not just solving one tiny little problem. They should be giving you a system to run part of your business. Okay, so they should be giving you a system that allows you to run a certain part or all of your business more effectively and efficiently, saving you time and saving you money in the long run, right? That's why you do it. So when you buy a course, you're not just buying the content of the course. Let's be honest. The content of pretty much every single course that exists in the world is on the internet. You can Google it and find the content. It's not a secret. Nobody's teaching stuff that only they know. They're teaching stuff that they have figured out. They've figured it out in a way that works for them, and they figured it out, hopefully, they understand their students in a way that it's going to work for their students, and they teach it in a way that will work for their students. So you're not buying the content per se, you are buying the experience and the expertise of your teacher. So that is what you're really buying. You're buying their knowledge packaged in a way that'll work for you. So just catching up on messages. Oh, Sherry, thank you so much. That's very lovely. You guys are awesome. So Karen's just said, I'm very selective about what info I choose to pay for. Most of them I've researched lose me in the sales pitch. I really look for practical, no nonsense, and less flashy, the better for me. Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I buy very few courses. I'm very selective. The way the info is presented makes a huge difference in whether I understand how to implement it. That's very true, Jenny. That's a really important point that I hadn't thought to talk about, but let's talk about that briefly. How do you learn? What's your learning style? Do you learn best by watching? Do you learn best by listening? Do you learn best by reading? Do you learn best by doing? So are you a kinesthetic learner? We all have different learning styles, and it's important that you understand what your learning style is. I learn well by reading and listening. So, with lectures, I used to always like going to lectures because then I'd listen to what my lecturer was talking about. And that's why I love podcasts. I like listening, but I love reading as well. So I'm kind of got a few things going on there. But generally speaking, we have a learning style that works better for us. So make sure that the course is being presented in a way that works for you. So for example, set up shop, which I'll talk about at the end. It's a written course. So all the information is presented via email, lessons, so written lessons. And then I'm going to do some Facebook Lives as well. But the reason I did it that way, now I first wrote the course like 5 or 6 years ago, and that was pretty much how people did courses back then. Nowadays, there's a lot of video. A lot of people do video courses. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as a learner, I really like having everything written down for me so I can easily reference it. Like if someone's got a video, I'm like, where did they say that thing? Like I have to skip through and look for it. But if it's written down, I can just scan it and go, oh yeah, that's that thing. So that's why I did it in a written format. And, I think a lot of people work from that. But also I do the podcast because podcasting, and that was a deliberate decision too for you guys, because makers, you can listen while you're working. You don't have to stop and read a blog post, right? So all of these, as a teacher, those decisions are deliberate, but also as a learner. So look for courses that teach in a style that works for you, okay? Leanne's a watch and do. Yep. And Jenny said, much small business advice feels so vague. Yeah, it does, because a lot of them are just regurgitating what they've heard from someone else rather than actually implementing it. Okay, so going back to my list, where are we up to? Okay, so I think I've talked about that. Yeah, so the content is always going to be available somewhere on the internet for free, just not all in the one place and not in a way that's easy to absorb, right? Look for courses that teach you systems and strategies. So the how, what, and when, as well as what. I've already talked about that. Okay, so it's hard to know what you're looking for. When you use strategy number 1, it's hard to know what you're looking for, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. And you can end up missing really crucial information that could have saved you an awful lot of heartache and headaches and drama, because you just don't know that you don't know it, or you don't know that it's there or that it exists, right? Oh, thank you, Roz. Roz just said, I love Setup Shop as I like Setup Shop as I still refer back to the emails. And that's the other thing, like these courses where they're like, you have 6 months access and then it's going away. I don't know. Like I think if I'm paying for information, I want it to be there forever, right? So I can refer back to it, because I don't necessarily get everything out of a course the first time. And, you know, totally putting my hand up on this, that, you know, with Your Year to Thrive, people sign up to the Thriver Circle and they get the Your Year to Thrive lessons. They still have the lessons because I send them by email, but they don't necessarily have access to all the links anymore, you know, so there you go. But with Setup Shop and pretty much all my other courses, you get all the content and you have it, because I want people to be able to reuse it, right? Yeah, Robin said, a visual kinesthetic learner. Look, then lock it in by doing. Yep, actioning is very important. Awesome. So look at the experience when you're going to do a course as well. Look at the experience your teacher is offering you. Does it allow you to interact with your classmates? How will the content be delivered, as we've just talked about? Do you get actual feedback from your teacher? How and when do you get feedback from your teacher? All of those sorts of things are really important to know, because, you know, you might really want that one-on-one direct feedback. You might want the chance to do it with other people. So all those things are important. So choose a course, that gives you the experience you want as well as the content you need. Those two things are both really important. Okay, so let's just recap briefly. Number 1, DIY Google Foo or Google Lottery costs you a lot of time, saves you money. Number 2, mentor or coach saves you a lot of time, costs you a lot of money. Number 3, a good course saves you a lot of time, shouldn't cost ridiculous amounts of money. It should be generally, you know, something you can swing. So that is basically what I wanted to talk about today, the 3 strategies. I'd love to know, those of you watching, which one of those you're currently using, which ones you've tried in the past, and which one you think you're going to use going forward, or a combination of them. So do share that with us in the comments now. And just to finish up, before I talk about the Setup Shop special, I just want to say this is something I like to repeat again and again, because I think it is really important to realize this. And that, you know, time is life. And when you exchange money for something, you've spent your time earning that money. Therefore, you're actually spending life. You're actually spending time that you can never get back. Time is the most precious resource we have. There is no getting it back. You can't earn any time back. We have one life, we have limited time, and we need to, you know, be aware of that, and that when we are spending money, we're actually spending our life. So is this thing that you want to spend money on worth a little sliver of your life? And if it is, because it's going to make your life better going forward, then awesome. But I always like to think about that when I make a big purchasing decision. I'm like, is this worth a bit of how much of my life is this worth? How many hours would I have to work to earn the money it costs me to buy this thing? And that's a really, for me, a really kind of sobering, I guess, realization. I'm like, okay, well, is it worth it? And if it is, awesome. If it's not, they made a movie about that? Did they? What is the movie? This is like something I've literally come up with by myself. So Belinda said, where are we? I'm going to maximize this now because I finished with my notes. Belinda's online course in Googling. Roz says, I've done 1 and 3 and use each depending on what I want to know. And he's doing the Google. I had a mentor, but it wasn't the right time to make the best use. Yeah, that's an interesting, like sometimes it can't be, it's not the right time. I've done the courses as and when I'm able to get the most out of them. Helen's like, currently first and feeling lost and overwhelmed. Now I'm looking to third. Yeah, man, this is a huge issue. When you are doing number 1, you can just get so overwhelmed by the sheer amount of content that is out there, the sheer amount of information that's coming at you from so many different directions. And it can get to that point of just like, it's like a tsunami of information, and you just can't take it in, and you don't know what to take in. So yeah, I totally understand that. I've been in that situation. Sometimes you just have to run away from it because it's so overwhelming. So yes. Any course recommendations for best use of time in business? Ooh. Well, I wouldn't say courses. I didn't talk about books per se. A book is kind of a similar thing, but it's kind of a course without the course, the active element. Books are brilliant. So going and reading a book about a topic is also a really awesome way of doing this. So best use of time, I can recommend things like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In the Thriver Circle, I've obviously got a workshop on this exact topic where I talk about a whole bunch of different time management strategies. So yeah. All right. So I think we've summarized all that. We've got 1, 2, and 3. Google DIY, course, coach or mentor, invest in a good course. So those are your 3 options. I really can't think of any other options. So that's pretty much what you've got to choose from. And, there's nothing wrong with the combination either. Like I do number 1 and 3 all the time. That's basically how I've built my business. A lot of number 1, probably way more than I really should have. But yeah, a lot of number 1. But it's a valid thing, but it takes so much time. So number 3, courses as well. And that's why I offer courses. And that's where Setup Shop came from. It literally came from me learning all of this stuff, blogging about it for years, and people coming to me constantly saying, how did you do this? How did you do that? How did you figure this out? What's the next step after that? And I just got to the point where I'm like, I need to put all this together. Like there is a system that you can go through to do this properly. And people keep asking me about parts of it, but they're not getting the whole picture. They're not getting this, the beginning to end, like do this, then this, then this, in this order that I've discovered works well. Like these things build on these things and so on and so forth. And that's where Setup Shop came from for me. So that's what I want to talk about today. The celebration of my 10-year bizaversary coming up very soon. I was thinking, and I'm like, what am I going to do? How am I going to, I want to celebrate this somehow. I want to do something big that's, more than I would normally do. And those of you who've been around for a long time know I don't do many sales or specials. It's just not, it's not something I do. I don't want to really have it as part of my business, because I already, as far as I'm concerned, I already charge very reasonable amounts for the stuff that I sell. I am not someone who charges thousands of dollars for courses, just because I feel like I want to serve as many people as possible while still making a living. Let's be honest, it's how I make my living. So I wanted to do something that was a little bit bigger than what I would normally do. And so I'm giving 20% off the cost of Setup Shop for anybody who signs up this class, which starts on October 1st. I don't think I've ever given this much off this course before, and I probably won't ever give this much off the course again, because it's already a very affordable course. The cost is 85 Australian dollars plus GST if you're in Australia, if you're an Australian resident. But with 20% off, that's a lot cheaper. So that is what I wanted to do, because I really just wanted to give back and share that system with as many people as possible. We've had over 1,000 people take the course so far over the last however many years it's been. And I just want to get it out to more and more people, because I have so much amazing feedback from you guys who've taken the course, who constantly tell me how much of a difference it made, and that you just keep going back and using the information over and over again. And that makes me so happy to hear, because that's what I want it to be. I wanted it to be a system that you could go back through and work through again and again to improve things. So that's what I'm doing. 20% off to anybody. There is a small catch, of course. You have to be one of 2 things. You have to be one of my Thriver Circle peeps. If you're in the Thriver Circle, you get this discount. the code, when you log into the circle, the code is on the landing page. I've got it right there for you. So go log in and grab it right now if you want to sign up. It's over at createandthrive.com/setup shop, the course, if you want to know more. And number 2, you have to be on my CNT update mailing list. So if you're not on the mailing list, just head on over to createandthrive.com, and there's lots of places you can enter your email and join the mailing list. Anywhere on the site that it says join the list, pop your email in there, and once you confirm, because I have double opt-in, so you'll get a little, do you really want to subscribe? And say yes, then you'll get another email, and in that final welcome email, the code for the discount is right there now for you. So if you want to join us for this class of Setup Shop starting on October 1st, and you want to get this, take advantage of the celebratory 20% discount I'm offering, please do. I'd love to see you in the course. I'm just going to catch back here. Leanne said, I have and still do all 3. I've done plenty of Google YouTube searching. I've done a few courses, the NEIS, and I have a mentor and an awesome community of makers I can bounce things off, Jess and the Thriver Circle. Akimi said number 1, based on the recommendation. Yes. This is a really good point. Akimi's just said doing number 1 based on recommendation saves time. And that's where having a mentor or a coach, they can go, we'll go look this up. Or, if you're in the Thriver Circle or a community like that, people will say, hey, I found this resource or whatever. So that can definitely save things. Karen said, this group, as in the Thriver Circle, is my mentor. I'm not very mentorable either, too stubborn and self-guided. At the end of the day, I'm responsible for my own progress. Yes. And Karen's just said, Setup Shop's awesome. I'm still referring back to it. Yay. So I really do hope that if you want to set up a successful stellar online shop for your handmade goods, that you do join us for Setup Shop. Obviously, it's running live from October, all throughout October. But if if that's not like perfect timing for you, what you need to know is that you'll have the information forever, and that in the future, when I run the course again, and I run it twice a year, so I run it sort of in February, March time, and then sort of September, October time, every year, that you can just come and retake the course with us. You'll be in the Facebook group, you can work through the lessons, you can talk to me again. So there's options to come back and retake the course or work through the course as many times as you like in the future. So yeah, if the timing isn't perfect for you, I still highly recommend get it now, because it'll never be this cheap again. So take advantage of that, definitely. Oh, thank you, Robin. Robin's just said that the Thriver Circle is great for discovering things you don't know about, all sorts of tricks to run your handmade biz. I'll just clarify, because we've been talking about the circle, because most of us here now are members. But if you don't know what it is, and we're like, what is this Thriver Circle thing everybody keeps talking about? It's not Setup Shop. Okay, so Setup Shop is a course that I run, standalone course. The Thriver Circle is my membership community and educational hub for makers. It's been running for over 3.5 years. We've got hundreds of amazing people in there who are supportive and positive. Honestly, it's such a lovely community, and I'm so thankful to every single one of you who was a member of that community, because you make it special and awesome. And it wouldn't be anything without you. It'd just be there, me talking by myself into the void. So thank you, Thriver Circle members, for being such wonderful, supportive people, and for being part of that community as well. So, okay. Thank you for being here. Do you have any follow-up questions for me while you've got me hanging out? Ask them away. Ask away in the comments. Happy to answer. I'm happy to hang out for another 5 minutes. So, oh my goodness, it's been like an hour. Holy moly. Thank you all for sticking with me. I can see that we've had a consistent lot of people here the whole time. You guys are amazing. Yes. And if you enjoyed this training, please share it. So share it in Facebook. You can take the link of the video and share it wherever. So share it in Facebook groups if you think it'll be helpful for people. Share it on Instagram or mention it. Chuck it in a mailing list, whatever. Please just share it with your fellow makers, and hopefully it will help them as well. Leanne's like, oh my God, I've been in the Thriver Circle for 3.5 years. Yes, you're one of my amazing foundation members. There's still a few of you around, which is amazing, and I love you guys. Rachel, how do you rewatch this video again? As soon as I finish, as soon as I end the video, it will be available on the Thriver Circle page under videos. So go to the Thriver Circle Facebook page and go to the videos tab, and this will be there. So you can rewatch it and share it as you like. Easy peasy. My tea's gotten a little bit chilly. I might have to re-microwave it. Yep, I'm gonna have to re-microwave. I'll just have some water instead in my shiny cup. Awesome. Any more questions? No, we're good. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys are fantastic. I love you. Thank you for hanging with me. I hope you got stuff out of this, you know, a bit more thought processes going on, like, oh yeah, well, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Yes, no, whatever. And I will be around, obviously, on Instagram. You can find me at Create and Thrive on Instagram, and also at Jess Van Den for my personal account. And that's where I do sort of a bit more behind the scenes of my life, personal stuff, if you're curious about that sort of thing. Yes, Karen, this is a public video available to anybody. It's not a private Thriver Circle video, so it will be available to everybody on the Create and Thrive page. Thank you so much, everybody.